Okay, how about now?
Great.
Yay! Okay, sorry about that. Give me just a minute. I'm going to just bring up my command screen real quick, and then we will get started. I am so sorry. I had to switch laptops in the middle of that, and I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I am going to share my screen with you guys so you can kind of follow along and see what I'm doing here. How many of you are actually familiar with DocuSign? Anybody?
I'm not.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Okay, well, I'm going to start from the very beginning. So some of this may seem kind of redundant to you, but there may be people on here who don't even know where to start. So I'm just going to share my screen and let's see.
Can I ask you a quick question about what you're covering?
How to use DocuSign, how to set up templates, how to use the rooms.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how to get like the groups of documents together, you know, for like a buyer or for a listing or whatever, where you have a group already ready, you know, or if you have an offer, if you've got an offer and it's not accepted and you need to make another offer through DocuSign, you know, like how to make folders or whatever in there.
Okay, so I tell you what, just follow along, and I'm not sure if what you're trying to do we can actually do, but I may have a solution for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so first things first, you're in Command, and it's time to write an offer for your client. So what we're going to do is, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I've got myself pulled up here, and we're going to write an offer. So what we have to do first is create an opportunity in Command. So one of the easiest ways to do that is to just go into that person, click on opportunities, and then you're going to click right over here on this right side, create opportunity. And that's going to open up your opportunity, which will then fall into your opportunity pipeline. So it's going to pre-populate your market center, who you are, things of that nature. Right here, you're going to pick, okay, what kind of opportunity is this? Is this a listing or is this a buyer? So I'm just going to pick buyer for now. I'm who owns this opportunity. My client is me. If I had a co-buyer that was linked in Command as a spouse, I could just click this and it would drop their name in right here, and you could select that. So when you go to your opportunity in DocuSign, it will auto-populate with both spouses' information. So it's super important when you're uploading your contacts into Command that you link them to their spouse, if they have a spouse, or co-buyer, whatever it may be. Right here, we're going to put in our opportunity name. So most market centers, and you may want to check with yours just to be sure, want you to list it as the address. So I'm just going to say 123 Banana Street. I don't know why it is doing that. And then I like to add the client's last name as well. So it's just easy for me to see in the opportunity, the address, as well as their last name. Okay. And then estimated close date, you don't really have to worry about any of this, but it is important that you put your commission rate in here. Now, I had a question yesterday while I was teaching this in another office. If you were doing a listing, would you put 6% here? No. you are going to put what you are going to earn. So if you're expecting to earn 3% commission, you're going to put 3% commission in here. If you are, you know, only going to make 2.5%, you could change that and put 2.5%. So that's where you're going to put that information. Your opportunity phase. Now this is going to depend on where you are in the transaction, because you can use your opportunity pipeline for a lot of different things. Today, we're specifically going to be, hey, we've met this person, we are going to write an offer. So super quick, we're under contract. So we're gonna make this buyer active, and then we're gonna go to opportunity stage, and we're gonna say, okay, we're searching and showing, and then once we write the offer, we can move into negotiations. But for our purposes today, we're just gonna say searching and showing. And then we're gonna hit create. And that's going to create our opportunity.
Callie, question for you on the commission. If you're going to pay out a referral of say 20, 25%, do you put that difference in the 3 minus the 3, or how do you do that?
No, so I would just put in what your commission is, and then on the, sorry, I'm trying to plug something else in over here. When you go or get to the point where you're filling out the commissions tab, which we're not going to go over in this class, but I can kind of guide you through that maybe at a later time. But that's where you would put in any referrals or deductions or anything of that nature.
Okay.
So we're going to go here. We're going to click on this opportunity. And let's see. If you notice that your command is running a little slow, they're really, really focusing on trying to work out the bugs and kinks. So if you kind of hit a point where it's acting wonky, they're probably in there working on something. So once we get to our opportunity, you can see here, 123 Banana Street, client's last name, Ruffus. It's going to have your name here. And then you're going to go right here to this document section. And then to get to DocuSign, we're going to click Start a Transaction. Now, once you've already started a transaction and maybe you're coming back in to write an amendment or whatnot, it's going to say Go to Transaction. So you'll either see Start a Transaction or Go to Transaction. So we're going to click Start a Transaction. We're going to select DocuSign. And then it's going to open up our DocuSign window. And that's my husband. I'll take him out and put me.
Okay.
Okay, so it's going to open you up into what they call a DocuSign room. And this is where all your documents are going to be found. So what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to go to the details section over here. And you're going to want to enter in the details of your transaction. So you'll click Edit. And once you complete this information, it's going to populate on every document you add to this room. So if you have an MLS number, you can put that in here. You're going to put in the address.
Hi, I think I might have missed it. When you go click on Start Transaction, it automatically goes to this room here, or?
It takes you to a next screen that's going to ask you to log into your DocuSign account. And then once you log into your DocuSign account, it's going to take you to that screen. Let me just show you real quick. It's going to take you to this screen right here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we're going to go here and finish up these details. And you don't have to fill all of this information in. It asks a lot of questions. I usually just fill in the property address, zip code. And then over on this right-hand side, you will see it asks for seller names. So I set this up as a buy-side transaction. But if you know the seller's name, you can just put their name in here and it's going to auto-populate in that blank every time you use a document that requires the seller's name. And then we're going to say seller 2 here. And then the listing agent, you can write in here. And you can go ahead and put their email address in, and I'll show you something you can use that for a little bit later. If there's a second listing agent, you can put that in as well. It's going to auto-populate your client's name because you created that opportunity in command. So it brought that information over for you. If you had a co-buyer, it would populate this information here as well. And then it's going to put your name in as the buyer's agent. Now, for whatever reason, this never puts the Keller Williams in the front of this. So I just go in and add it. And then the rest of the information is there. So once I have put all this information in, I'm just going to click save. This phase right here is probably one of the most important things you can do because it sets up a lot of things going forward that will make your life a little bit easier. So always go to the details section first. And then we're going to go to the documents section. And then you're going to go right up here to add documents. We're going to use DocuSign Forms. And then we're going to pick GAR forms. And then here you're just going to type whatever forms you're going to use. So we're going to look for the purchase and sale. And once you highlight that, if you go back up here to the little search bar, you can just back out of that without adding this and go on to your next document. So we're going to say conventional loan exhibit. And then you can see here it says 2 forms selected, and we'll go ahead and add those. And it's going to add that to our documents section. So one of the things you'll notice here is this right here says form. It says form over here. Once you send this away for signatures and your client has signed it, there's going to be a duplicate of that document here, but it's going to say, it'll be green and it says signed. So that way you know this is a signed document, this is a form. When you are going to make any changes, you're always going to go back to the form. So one document, the amendment to agreement. Say you're going to write amendment 1. You go ahead, you download that into your documents here, you type it, you send it, your client sign it, you move on in the transaction, and you need to do an amendment 2. That was freaking a lot of people out because they couldn't re-download the amendment to agreement. So what happens is you just reuse the form and change the information, but it'll still save the previous signed version. So you always have a copy of that signed amendment 1, but you go back to the form to update for any future amendments. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anybody? Okay. All right, so we're just going to click on this document because this is the one we want to complete. And it's going to pull information over from the details section. So you can see here that it auto-populated the information that I put in the details section. So that's going to save you a lot of time as you write your documents. That's already going to be there. Now I'm going to exit out of this because I want to show you one other thing. So there's a way you can set up what they call templates so that a lot of the information that doesn't change is there every single time you open this document. Now I've already set mine up, so I'm just going to show you how this works, and then we'll look later at how we go about setting that template up. But once you've set the templates up and you know they're there, you can hover over this document and you are going to right click, and it's going to bring up a menu. And you're going to say apply form template. And it's going to ask you, okay, well, which template do you want me to apply? So if you were an admin for a team and you were writing a purchase and sale agreement for, 14 people or whatever, you could have one for each individual person. So for me, I just have mine. So I click that and I click apply. And then when I open up this document the next time, it will have auto-populated all the forms that just, or all the lines that typically don't change. So you can see here, I've already got this selected. I've got this selected. I've got my earnest money box marked. So every single time you use this form and you use the template, it's going to bring up this information. Now I can go in here and change this. I can say, oh, I've already got the earnest money, so I'm going to do that and take this one away. And that's fine. You can do that. But if you're pretty consistent on the same processes that you do every single time, you can just go ahead and check mark it. And if for some reason it changes, you can go in and easily fix that. So the best part is when you get down, let's see, here to the bottom, it's going to have all your information already here. So you don't have to complete that every single time you go in to write an offer. And then you can see here, any information that I put in about the listing agent on that details page is going to populate here as well. Same with seller 1 and seller 2. So let's say we're going to go in and we're just going to start writing our offer. You're just going to click on the boxes, fill in any information that's missing. Things of that nature. Once you've included everything in your offer, you're going to go up here and click Save and Close, and it's going to save everything that you've just put into this document. Any questions so far? Okay, so the next document we're going to go to is the conventional loan exhibit.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm Richard. And what about the information of all other people involved, like lenders, attorneys, and everything? You can put it there. I'm a .loop user, so I can put in .loop. I can put all that information, and will populate my documents with the information of the attorneys when I need it, and the other people too.
Yeah, so if you set up a template, if you use the same people every single time, you can absolutely type that in and it will populate every single time when you create a template. And we'll go over that a little bit later. So yes, you can put all of that information in a template and it will populate every single time. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Not exactly. I mean, for every transaction, probably the lender is different or the attorney is different. And I just put one time the information of these people, and all the documents will populate without, I don't have to create a template for each transaction. I don't know if it's clear.
No, so there's no mapping to say, okay, I'm going to add the attorney as a person here and it's going to know where to put that block. There, as far as I know, there is no way that they have that mapped out. So that's something you either like I prefer to use the same attorney every single transaction. So I could put that in my template as my preferred. And then if I have to change it for whatever reason to win the offer, I can easily go in and just erase that and add the new one. But there is no mapping that I'm aware of that can do what you're asking.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because I'm still learning this myself. But as far as I know, that's not a thing.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer. So we're going to go into our loan exhibit, and we are going to just kind of fill this out. Your exhibit letter, we're going to put the date. You know, whatever information that you would put in here, just go ahead and fill out this form. And then if you scroll down, you will see again here, it's auto-populated the buyer's name, seller 1, seller 2, the buyer's agent, and the listing agent information. And then once you've filled that out completely, again, you're just going to hit save and close.
I have a question. Is the seller 1 and seller 2 on your template? Is that why that's showing there?
No, we did that in the details section. So if you go
okay,
here,
gotcha.
and this is basically what this is the holding room for all the information of your transaction. So if you know their name, say the name was Jane Doe, you would just type Jane Doe right here in this seller 1 block, and it'll just populate all those documents for you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And then if you had like a seller's disclosure that you needed to upload, you could do add from your computer, and it would upload it here. Now, one thing to note is if you upload a PDF version of any document in here, you cannot make changes right here. You will have to do that at the next phase. And I'll show you guys how that works. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I've got one saved on here right now that I can add, but let's see. Oh, here we go. We'll just do this one. Okay, so it added that PDF, but when I open this up, oh, that's going to take a minute. Well, we'll come back to that. If I was to open this up, it would not allow me to make any changes here. So now I've got all my documents in my documents section, and I want to send it to my client for their signatures. So I'm going to go to this little box right here and click all these little check marks of the documents that I want to send. And then I'm going to click this little pencil that says create envelope. So basically what we've done in this documents phase is we've written the letter, and now we want to put it in an envelope and send it to our clients to sign. So create envelope. And it's going to bring this screen up here. So this first line here, envelope name, is simply for your purposes. So you can name it whatever you want to remind you what's in that envelope. So I'm just going to say original offer. And then when you get down here, you can rearrange these if you like your stuff to go in a specific order. You can move these around. If you get in here and you realize, oh, whoops, I forgot something, you can click Room Docs, and it'll allow you to go back in and select whatever you missed. So then we're going to scroll down and we're like, okay, who is this envelope going to? So you're going to do add recipient. If you have entered the details in the details section, you can choose pre-tagged roles. And what that's doing is it's telling DocuSign that I want you to take the people in this details section and I want you to mark every signature space for me. And it will do this on every form. It will not do it on PDFs. You will have to add signatures to PDFs. But if you started with a DocuSign form, it's going to pre-populate the signature things for you. So you won't have to worry about that. So that's one reason the detailed section is so important. And then you're just going to select, who are we sending this to? We're going to send it to buyer 1 to sign. And that was Callie. I probably should have picked someone other than myself, but it is what it is. And then the buyer's agent, again, is going to be me. And then I'm going to add the listing agent on this because I want this offer to go to them as well. So I'm going to add that person here and hit add selected. So you can see here it's got position 1, position 2, position 2. So it's going to go to the buyer first, and they need to sign. Now, if you just wanted to send a copy to someone, you could do a drop down and you could do receives a copy. So position 1, the buyer's going to sign. Once the buyer signs, it's going to send it to me, the buyer's agent, to sign. Well, I want it to send to me the same time it sends the buyer. So I'm just going to change this and put it also in position 1. And it should not be doing this. It should save. Okay, so normally, and I don't know what's going on here, so they must be working in this, but normally you can have more than one person in position 1, and it will send it to everyone in first position first, and then it'll go down the order to who goes next. So the way it's set up right now is it would go to the buyer, then it would go to the buyer's agent, and then it would go to the listing agent. Now, you can set it up to where it goes, like I said, to the buyer and the buyer's agent at the same time. I don't know why it's not letting me right now, but normally you can do that. Now, the listing agent, I don't really want them to sign. I just want them to get a copy because a lot of people don't like it when you send the signature sessions. So you can move it over here to receives a copy. So once these 2 people have signed, it's going to automatically send a copy over to the listing agent. So that's just going to save you time from having to come back and then download it and send it. It's going to automatically do it for you. Any questions on that?
Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
So why do you want to be in position 1 as the agent?
Because I want to sign, and this is a personal preference. So it really honestly doesn't matter how you do it. If you want your client to sign first, and then once they sign, you want to sign, set it up that way. There's no right or wrong answer here. Me, I like to just send it to myself and to the client at the same time, and then we both just sign it. But it's really personal preference. There's no right or wrong.
So this is the order of receipt of the document, not the order of signature.
No, this is the order. It depends on what you mean order of signature.
So like if you send this to yourself and the client also gets it at the same time as you, right? They both go to the inbox at the same time. Neither one is signed. So now if the client signs it, right? And I'm in position 1, it's automatically going to go to the listing agent and not me, right? Oh.
No. So if the buyer and the buyer's agent are listed in position 1, it will not go to anyone else until both of those parties have signed the document.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so how it's kind of set up over here, and I don't know why this is a 4 instead of a 3, but how it's set up right now, first it would go to the buyer. You're not going to get a copy until this buyer signs.
Mm-hmm.
Once the buyer signs, it's then number 2 going to send you a copy. Once you sign, it's then going to go here to the listing agent and send them a copy. So it's going to go in whatever order you have arranged this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
And would it be number 4? Would it be number 4, Keegan, because we have 2 buyers, or we had set it up with 2 buyers maybe?
I don't know why it put number 4 there. It should be number 3, but it was doing some wonky things when I was trying to change the numbers over here a minute ago.
Because you need both buyers' signatures, right?
Sure, but I don't have 2 buyers in this example, so there's not 2 buyers here. If you did have 2 buyers, you could send it to both buyers at the same time. You could send it one before the other. It's just personal preference again.
It looks like it corrected just now. It's 1, 2, 3 now.
Yep, I just fixed it. I don't know. It's being wonky. Let me see if it'll let me change that to 1 again. No, it's still changing it. And see, it went back to 4. So sometimes when they're working in the system, it does bizarre things like this. But this too shall pass, right? And get better. So if you had a second buyer, then you could put both buyers in number 1 position and it would send to them at the same time. Is that answering your question?
Yep.
Okay. So here is also where if you wanted to send it to your lender, say it's coming back to you to bind, and then after you bind it, you want to send it to your lender and your attorney or your admin, you can go here and you can click email address, and you could add, okay, whatever your lender's name. So we're going to just call him Mr. Lender, and he's going to be Mr. Lender at lending.com. Okay. And you could just say, okay, well, I just want him to receive a copy once everyone has signed. And so it will automatically send to that person once everyone has signed. So it's just another way to get things kind of speeded up and be a little more efficient when you're the last party signing. Does that make sense?
And that person doesn't have to be already in this. You can send that to anybody, right?
Correct. When you use the email address,
yeah,
it can be anyone. They don't have to be in your details section.
Okay, so when you're writing up an offer, you can put to send a copy to the listing agent.
Yep, that's what we did right here in position number 3.
Copy. Okay, I got it. That's interesting. Okay.
And the listing agent one I did as a pre-tagged role because I did add their information into the details section because their information is going to be on almost every document we use.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You sure?
Yep. Yeah. I've done that several times. I've never sent it to the other agent. I generally download it as a PDF and then email it to them from my email.
Yep. So this will save you a step.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once you have all of this information in, you can go down here and this is where you can type a message to your clients, whoever it's sending to. You can say whatever you want. I usually don't even send a message. I just end up texting them and saying, hey, just sent the offer over, yada, yada, yada. But if you wanted to enter a message, this is where you would do it here. And then once you've got that, you're going to click next. And it's going to bring you to all of your documents. So we've got our purchase and sale agreement here. And as we scroll down, you will see that it has pre-populated here the signature blocks for my client. So that's where that pre-tagged role comes in handy. So every place that my buyer needs to sign and that I need to sign is already going to be tagged. Does that make sense? So you'll see down here, again, buyer, it'll go ahead and tag their signature and the date signed. And then
Callie, is your name or our name on the bottom of each page in lieu of filling out the blank part?
So do you see it down here?
Right.
I just leave that. If you wanted to go and put something in here, you absolutely could. I just leave this right here and it's never been an issue. But I know what you're talking about, where some of them say filled in by or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it does do this right here. And I just go with that. But if you wanted to, you could always use your name and then use this name block and just drag that over. So this is something else that if you are the last person touching the contract to bind it, you can, and you want to bind it when you sign, you can go ahead and drag this date signed right over here, and then put your name, drag the full name box over. And as soon as you sign, it'll automatically bind this for you. You don't have to do anything. So it'll date stamp it and put your name. Any questions on that? Okay. So if we keep going down, you'll have the conventional loan exhibit. And again, you'll see that when we get down here, it's pre-tagged again for signatures. And then as we go to the next document, it's going to be that PDF document that we attached. So what I attached looks like it's going to have the legal description as well as the disclosures. So if you had a legal description you wanted your clients to initial, you're going to come over here to this drop-down box, and each person has a color. Okay, so this is me, the agent. This is me, the buyer. So I want the buyer to initial this. So I'm going to select them and just drag the initials over. And then when they go to sign, it's going to have them sign right there, or initial, I should say.
Is this document an attachment because of your template?
This document is because I pulled this from FMLS, from the listing, to include it in my offer. So it's a PDF instead of a form from DocuSign. Does that?
But so like, if I didn't have a template, this would not be here, right? So this is included with all of your offers, in other words?
No.
Okay.
So we added this back a few screens ago when we added the PDF from the computer when we were in the documents tab.
Oh, I missed that.
Sorry. Okay. I can try to go back and show you in just a minute, but when you're in the documents room and you add the forms that you're going to fill out, and then you want to add that disclosure for the property your client is hoping to buy, you would upload that as a PDF, which is what we've got here. So this is just the disclosures for the property that we were going to buy. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So here you're going to have to, normally this wouldn't be here. It would just be the blank. So you're going to go back to you, the agent, and you're going to drag over a text box and put in whatever the date you're making an offer. And then you would put in your exhibit number as well. And you do that the same way, just drag a text box over. You just click the button away.
Can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
I found that I have issues with the recipient preview. If you switch to Callie, the buyer, and you click on recipient preview, can you show us what you actually see there? Because we should see what's in those text boxes. And a lot of times I don't see, the recipient preview doesn't actually show me what the buyer is going to see. It just leaves blank fields, and it's very odd to me. Like if you just put 323 in there, if you switch to Callie, the buyer, and then do recipient preview, it's supposed to show you exactly what that PDF is going to look like when Callie, the buyer, gets it. Correct?
Yes,
if you
it
scroll
should.
That PDF, it should have March 23rd in that field on the legal description.
Let's scroll down here and see. And it doesn't.
Showing it.
That's interesting. I actually have never looked at the recipient preview like that.
It doesn't work. And so it's very kind of misleading because it's supposed to show a preview of what that recipient's going to see. And yet it didn't show you March 23rd. It's just, it doesn't work. I just wanted to know if it was me or not.
I'm going to make a note of that. I have not tried that, so I wasn't aware of that. Let me just write that down.
Because I always want to see, like, what is the person going to see when they get it? And it doesn't really work, just to, as a double check for myself. So I know that they're not seeing unlocked fields that are supposed to be locked and what have you. And that's a perfect example. You change the date on it, and yet either, I'm sure the buyer is going to see it correctly, but the preview thing doesn't work.
Right, right. That's a great point. I'm going to ask about that. So when you get down here, since this was uploaded as a PDF, you will have to add the signature. It won't pre-populate for you. So you would just go to Callie, the buyer here, and just drag the signature over to the signature block that you wanted them to sign in. And same with this was just a lead-based paint disclosure. You would want to drag initials and signatures over to that as well. And then once you have gotten, oh, you got a question?
Yeah. Do you have to widen the signature? In other words, like when you drag it over, it's just a square. I have always dragged it, you know, to the full length. Are you supposed to do that, or is it automatically?
Nope, you don't have to. It'll sign it and it'll look just like this right here.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then once you're ready, you're just going to click send. And some of my email addresses were invalid, so it's not actually going to send it right now. But once you send it, hang on just a second, I'm going to show this to you. I'm just going to take out these guys right here. Okay, so once you send it, it's gonna put something in your envelope category, and it's gonna show you that here in just a second. Okay, so this is your envelopes. So this is gonna show you all the mail that you've sent for signatures. Now, if you were ready to sign it, you can just click on this and say, okay, I wanna sign. It also will let you know who has and who has not signed. And if you need to resend the documents as a reminder for them to sign, you can do that here. You can view the documents here. You can void your envelope. I'm not really sure why you'd want to copy it. I haven't used that, so I don't know too much about that. And I've tried to correct the document before, and I haven't had much luck with that. So I'm not really sure what that's there for. But once you're ready to sign, you can just click sign.
Callie, can I chime in a second?
Yeah, sure.
The correct, I've tried that out. It allows you to make corrections on anything in that envelope, but it only works if somebody has already signed it, it doesn't work. So if you realize after the fact you sent it out to people, but no one has signed it yet, you actually have the opportunity to go in and fix a mistake you made, but it only works before somebody signed it.
Good to know. Maybe I was trying it after someone had signed it because I was like, this is not working.
That's why.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So once you click, you're ready to sign, it's going to bring up this screen. And this is exactly what your clients are going to see as well. They're just going to have more spots to sign. So you can click continue and then hit start. And it's going to take you to every signature that you need to sign at. And then you're just going to hit finish.
So if you void it out, then when they open their email, they're just not going to be able to access it. Is that how that works?
Correct. And it'll send them an email as well saying that this envelope has been voided.
Okay. But you don't need to void it to make the correction, right? Because if you're trying to...
So if no one has signed the document, apparently you can use that correct button and that should fix it. The other option, if no one has signed it, is you can go back to the documents and fix whatever it is you need to fix and save. And that save will carry over to the documents in your envelope as long as nothing has been signed.
With the copy feature, I wonder if that's if like you forgot to click on the drop down to send a copy to whomever, if you could just copy it and then send it that way.
It could be. I haven't tried that. Let's see what it does. Nothing, I guess. I don't know what that's there for. Oh, okay. So it just makes a copy of the envelope. I don't know what you would use that for. I've never used it, so I'm not sure. But you can see here when you go back into the envelope after I signed that you can see that I signed it, and then Callie, the buyer, is still needing to sign it.
Okay.
Any questions on any of that?
I do. Somebody mentioned something about a an unlocked box. I don't want to leave anything unlocked. How will I know if everything is locked properly?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
When you were going through I don't know if it was the form or the PDF, but in the top right corner, let's say you're adding fields to the PDF, you can click a box to lock them. So let's say you filled in that date of 3/23 that you did on the PDF. You can lock that field so that none of your recipients can change that, because otherwise it's editable and you don't want them changing the date on it. So I always fill in everything first and lock it, because in most cases, my recipients are just gonna look at it and sign it. They're not gonna fill anything out. Right.
And you also want to be careful with that too, because when you send a seller a seller's disclosure, let me show you guys that actually. Let me just go in here. I'm going to void this envelope. And let's go back to the details. And I'm going to change this from a, oh, I can't do that right here. Okay, hang on. Let's see. I'm going to change this to a listing opportunity. Maybe. Or we'll just create a new opportunity. How about that? That might be the easiest way to do it. Because I want to show you guys how to do the seller's disclosure, because that was one thing that a lot of people didn't like. They felt like you had to add all these blocks to the seller's disclosure, and you don't have to do that. Okay, so we've got a listing here. We're just going to create this opportunity. Oh, commission rate. Okay. Okay, so for the list side, you're going to go in here and just edit this information, you know, whatever the details are. Let's just go 456 Main Street. And I'm going to say, I'm going to change this. So seller one is going to be, I'll make it my husband.
Quick question. My internet went out for a minute there, so I don't know what I missed, but Sorry, but so if you make an offer and it's not accepted, they accept a different offer, then you go back in here and you edit all of this information with the new information?
No,
No.
You're going to archive that opportunity that you lost and start a new opportunity.
A whole new opportunity when your offer is declined?
Yes. And I'll show you how to do that. It's really easy. And it's a lot easier than actually going in and changing this, because what happens is if you were to go in and change all this information, that DocuSign room is still holding all the documents to that previous transaction. So
this has happened to me already multiple. I've got buyers that are submitting multiple offers and they're losing over and over again. So I have been going back in here and changing it. But even if you archive the opportunity, you still have to put all of the commission and everything in again, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's one button. I mean, you're going to have to change the address and the details anyway. And you'll find that once you use this more, it really, like, I can get an offer out in like 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
It's just the more you get to use it, and those templates are a huge time saver.
Yeah, the templates thing.
Yes, so I'm going to show you guys that.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, because that is a huge lifesaver right there.
Okay, so when my offer is not accepted, I just archive the whole opportunity within Command and create a new one with the same person, but with a different app. Gotcha.
Exactly. So let me just go here to me, and you can see all these opportunities here. That these are just like test things where I've just been showing others how to use this. So,
it shows all of the opportunities for that person.
Correct.
If you wanted to go back and look at it, you could.
Yep, you sure could.
Oh, well, geez. Okay.
So, and that'll help you know, like, okay, well, I've written 36 offers for this client.
Exactly.
So yeah, that will help. And let's see, I was trying to find where you might, let's see. I think we actually have to go to the opportunity pipeline to archive it. Let's see. I'm not sure where I put myself in here. Okay, we can just do 123 Banana Street, and you'll click these 3 dots and click Archive Opportunity.
Okay, that's easy.
And then it'll just put it in an archive for you. But you do definitely want to start a new DocuSign room for everyone.
So what happens when you archive it, then you can't access that DocuSign room anymore?
No, you can still access it if you wanted to.
Okay, all right. But what you're going to do is have a whole new room for a new address. For every address has their own room. Okay.
Yeah, and anytime you go into DocuSign, if you click this rooms button, it will show you all the rooms that you have open.
And what about the archived ones?
And it'll show you those too. It'll show you everything.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And then when you're in there, like your documents right there in DocuSign, somebody, I think Callie told me that you could create folders in there. And you
sure can.
Because then you could put all those informational things in one. And
I'll show you guys that in just a minute.
Oh, yay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the seller's disclosure. So you're going to add in your seller information here, name, email address. If you have 2 sellers, add them both. I'm just going to go with 1 here and hit save. And then we're going to go over to our documents. And again, add. And we're going to select this and add it to our room. And then when you open this up, it's going to go ahead and auto-populate the address and the address information. And it's going to leave everything else. It's going to look like this, okay? And then we're going to hit save and close, because really the only thing you want on there right now is the address. And then we're going to click on this little button here and create an envelope, because we're going to package this up and send it to our seller. And this is another place where pre-tagged roles is extremely important. Okay, so I'm going to call this envelope seller's disclosure. So I know what's in it. We know that's there. I'm going to add pre-tagged roles here. Seller 1, which is Doug here. And then I'm going to hit add selected. If you wanted to add a message to that, you could definitely go ahead and do that. And then we're going to hit next. And then it's going to bring up all these little blanks right here for your client to fill out. Now, you're going to want to tell them to fill out every block that needs information that they have information for. And only seller 1 can complete the text boxes. So I always ask, like, who's the one that fills out your documents and knows the most about the property? Because that's who I'm going to make seller 1 so that they can complete this. Now, if you do not use pre-tagged roles, these will not show up here and it will not be editable. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that's really all there is to the seller's disclosure, and it's going to have the signature down at the bottom here. You can see where it's at saying, hey, this is where they're going to sign and date. And then you just hit send, and it's going to send that disclosure to them to complete. And it will look like what it just looked like, where they can click the boxes, they can add text. So that makes it super easy. And it took me forever to figure out how to do that. But once I did, I was like, whoa, that's really awesome. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay. So somebody had asked about folders. So if you go here to your documents section, and once you're working through a transaction, you're going to have a lot of documents in here. You're going to have the forms that you've used. You're going to have documents that are signed by one side only. You're going to maybe even have fully executed documents in here. You might have some PDFs. Well, you can separate that in whatever way works for you. So number 1, you can sort A to Z, Z to A, oldest to newest, etc. You can do active documents, all documents. I only want to see archived documents, whatever your choice is there. And then if you go over, let's see, it's actually this button right here. You can say, I want to add a folder. And I want to call this folder Forms, and then hit create. So all of my documents that are forms that I may reuse, I'm just going to slide up into this little forms document here. So when I come back into my room, I can say, okay, well, I don't want to see all the room documents. I just want to see my forms. And then I say, okay, that's the form I need, and click on it and go about your business. You could add a folder that says executed documents. You could add a folder that says buyer side only signed documents, whatever works for you. Any questions on that?
what you just explained is how you create your template, is what you're saying?
Nope. That is just if you wanted to clean up your room a little bit, because as you go through the transaction, it starts to really look messy in there and it becomes hard to find what you're looking for. So if you just create these little buckets right here, you can separate your documents into sections so it doesn't look messy. Does that make sense?
So Callie Ruffus listing is the room that you're in?
Correct.
Okay. With your purchase agreement earlier, how did you add the form to the purchase agreement for your package?
If you're going to add your purchase and sale agreement, you would go here to add DocuSign Forms. Did you miss the first part? I think this is being recorded, so you can go back and watch it if I'm not mistaken. And then just select GAR Forms. And then you can go here to your Forms Finder and just say purchase and sale, and then find whichever one you want. Click it, and then just hit add. Now, if you wanted to add a second document, you don't have to add this one right now. You can just type the second document in here, click it as well, and it'll add them both. Now, if you pulled a seller's disclosure from FMLS and you want to add that, you would have to do add computer and then pull that PDF off your computer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's the idea on folders. It'll just help you keep your room a little bit more organized. And then as far as templates, we are going to go to My Documents up here at the top of this screen here. And then we're going to go to Form Templates. And you can see I already have several set up here for different things. So if you want to create a form, you're going to go Create Form Template. Again, you're going to pull it from GAR Forms. And then you're going to look for whatever document you're looking for. Oh, that's not typing, is it? Here we go. And since I've already done the purchase and sale agreement, the regular one, I'm just going to do, oh, there it is. I can add it again. Okay. And so once you select that document, it's going to go ahead and bring that document up here for you to input. So you can go in here and put in any information that is pretty consistent in your contracts. So, you know, most of the time I'm going to put the deed book and page here. Obviously the purchase price you're not going to fill out right now because you don't know what that's going to be. But hey, I know that almost always I agree to take possession at closing. And almost always the holder of my earnest money is my office. You can fill that in here. I always use the same attorney, you know, when possible. So you can fill that in here as well. Now, when you go back to the form, if you have to change any of this, it's still completely editable. It's just going to auto-populate this to save time for you. You know, earnest money. I'm always going to do that within 2 days. And I use Earnest, the app. So it's going to be an ACH. You know, if I'm representing the buyer, I'm representing them as a client and my brokerage is here. I'm going to go ahead and fill that out. So you can fill out as much or as little information as you want, but the more information you fill out on here, the more time you are going to save when you go to write your offer. If you wanted, you could make this a conventional loan purchase and sale, and you could go ahead and mark conventional loan, you know, totally up to you. There's a ton of different options. If you have special stipulations that you use almost regularly, add them here. It'll save them and make it a lot easier for you in the long run. And then the biggest part is just filling out your information here. It is such a huge time saver to go ahead and have this done in your template so that when you're writing that contract, that's there. And then once you have everything in here that you want, you're just going to hit save and close. And it's going to save it right here. So this is the one we just did. And you can go in here and you can do this drop down. You can delete it if you decide you didn't like it. You could copy it. Again, I don't really know why you'd copy it unless maybe you were doing it for multiple agents and you just wanted to kind of copy and change a few things. And then you could edit. So if you wanted to come back in and make any changes, you would hit that and do that there. If you want to rename the document, you're just going to click right up here on that little pencil, and then you can name it whatever you want to. I'm just going to call it a test template. And then once you change that name, you're going to click this arrow here, and it's going to save that name. And again, just save and close. And then you'll see that it's saved here. So when we go back to our rooms, and we'll just use this one as an example again, and we want to add that purchase and sale agreement. It's in our documents section. And we've already added it earlier. I'm just going to right click on that document that I'm wanting to use the template for, click Apply Form Template. Here's our test template, and we're going to click Apply. And so when you open this document up now, it's going to have all that information that you filled out pre-filled. Any questions on that?
Callie, is that normally how you do it? You don't actually pick the template first through the ad process, you bring the form in and then you apply the template to the form.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
And I believe that is all I have for you guys. So if you have any questions, ask away. I'm happy to answer them. And if we get off here and you have a question, you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to help you however I can.
Did you do the folders for things?
Yep, right here. We went over that.
Sorry, my internet went out again.
That's okay. So if you're in your little document room right here,
yeah,
you're going to go right up here to Actions. And then you're going to say Add Folder. And then I've already done one for Forms, so I'm just going to call this, let's just say Buyer Sign Docs. And then hit Create. And it's going to, you can see you've got Buyer Sign Docs here, Forms here, and then whatever's left in the room documents. So let's just say this was a signed document by my buyer. I would just slide it up here to that Buyer Signed Document folder and drop it there.
So you just drag and drop?
Okay. Yep. And then you can, you can minimize these if you want. And then if you come back and you say, okay, well, I need to use that purchase and sale agreement again, you just go to Forms, and if it's in there, just go ahead and click it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. It definitely helps with your room, like not feeling so like just messy and overwhelming.
Yeah, I suppose you could make a folder for like all those certification documents to stick them.
Yes, I usually just archive those. They drive me bananas.
Oh, you archive them. Okay.
Yeah. So if you wanted to archive a document, you can just go in here and just highlight it and then just go archive.
And if you needed to find it for some reason, is it easy to find after you archive it?
Yep. So we're going to archive that one. And then we're back in here. We're going to go right. Whoop, let's see. Once it comes back up, we're going to go right here to this drop down menu and just click, oh, I want to see the archive documents.
Oh, right.
And I'm going to say, I did that by mistake. So I'm going to highlight it and say unarchive.
Okay, good.
And then it'll go back.
Callie, I have a question.
Sure.
I think that you mentioned this, but I want to make sure I get the concept because Shannon was talking about it. So each person, let's just say your buyer, the buyer is a contact, and the contact may have several different transactions or opportunities because we're writing several offers.
Right.
So in the past, I've thought of a contact as being an opportunity, but every time we write an offer, that's an opportunity.
Correct.
Okay. And is there a naming standard for each one of those? Because I know our office looks by address. So I've been doing the address and then the contact's name.
Yes. So that's exactly what I do. I name my opportunities. Now, some of these you can see are not named appropriately, but you can see like this one right here, I've put the address and then the last name.
Got it.
And that may vary by market center. My market center wants us to use address, and then I add the last name just for my own personal reference, because sometimes I'm like, okay, wait, were the Jacksons buying Harmony Circle or were they buying Peninsula Point? You know?
Right. That's what I've been doing now that I have multiple offers, you know, for one client. I've been doing it that way. And then do you archive the opportunities that don't make it to the end, that you die?
Yeah, you sure can. So when you're in the contact, you can see all of the opportunities that you've done for them here. So these are just like my test ones when I'm teaching somebody something. So you can see them all here. And then to create a new opportunity, you could go here. To archive, you actually have to go to your opportunity pipeline. And then you can just click on one and you can say, okay, well, click these three dots and archive opportunity.
Thank you. I never could figure out where that was. Okay.
I have to think about it a lot. I have to be like, wait a minute, where was that? So even today, when I did it first, I had to think like, where was that at? But on your opportunity pipeline.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
One last question. You may have covered it. My internet went out, but the in DocuSign, is there a way, or maybe our office did this, if Zip or somebody knows, or DJ, but they where you group together like your purchase and sale, your lead-based paint, you're sort of together, and you pull them all in at one time?
So I think you can do that, but if you do that, I don't think you can apply, excuse me, just a second. Sorry. I don't think you can apply your personal template when you use your office group template.
Oh.
I could be wrong on that. I haven't tried it because our office hasn't done that. So I don't know, but you know what you could do is you could go in and set your templates and then pull in their template and see if it'll let you right click and do that.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yes, hello. Could you go back to the rooms section, please?
Sure. Let's see, let me just find an opportunity to go back into, or actually I've got it up here. Okay.
So when you invite someone to this room, what exactly do they see like as a client?
I do not invite my clients to the room. I don't invite anyone to my room. I only invite them to sign a document.
Gotcha.
So the only thing, like you can put people here. these are my market center people. And then obviously me. No one else is in this people envelope.
Okay.
And I think that's how you keep them from seeing everything in your room.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just add them to the details, and then it'll only send them the documents that they need to sign. Ashley, I see your question. Does it add it as a PDF, so not editable one? Tell me what you mean there. Ashley, are you gone? Okay, Ashley might be gone. So any other questions? Oh, when you do the template and add to a room, can you edit from the room? Yes. So okay, let me make sure I'm following along. Okay, so I'm in here. Actually, let's go to this one. Documents. I've got my purchase and sale. I had applied my template here. And then when you open it up, is this editable? Yes, it is. And I'm hoping that I'm understanding this correctly. But I'm going to show you. Okay, so here's one that I used a template on that I had pretty much filled out for the most part. So I'm going to say Keller Williams Signature Partners is not going to hold my earnest money. The attorney is. So I can take that out and just add whoever, okay, Neil Robinson and Stafford is going to hold it. So yes, that's completely editable. And then you would just hit save and close. And that's only going to save the change made in this room. It's not going to save your template. Yeah, Ashley, it used to be real wonky and you could not make these changes. So they released this probably just a couple weeks ago, this template idea, and it's been wonderful. Huge time saver. All right, anything else?
Great job, Callie, thanks.
Thank you, thank you. You guys, if you have any questions when you're going through this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. Ashley, you can create a template for each team member. So if you want me to help you with that, let me know, and I can do that.
Cool.
All right, anybody else? Did I miss any questions?
How do we reach you, Callie?
Let me give you my phone number. It's 678-507-8354. And then my email is Callie, C-A-L-L-I-E, Ruffus, R-U-F-F-U-S, @kw.com.
Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else? All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope it wasn't too all over the place, and I hope you got something out of this. And I hope it makes your life a little bit easier. No, Ashley, it does not pull from FMLS, and that is one of the suggestions that I'm going to make, because I think that would be a huge addition and even make things so much easier. So right now, no, but hopefully in the future it will. All right, well, if that's it, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for coming. Bye.